Let me guess. You've been taught that worry means you care, right? That if you're not constantly thinking about what might go wrong, you're being irresponsible. But what if that belief is actually wrecking your inner peace? What if everything you're afraid of is just your mind playing defense against a future that doesn't even exist? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Worry doesn't protect you. It drains you. It robs you of your divine power, your focus, and your ability to live in the present moment. While you're busy running through disaster scenarios in your head, life is quietly unfolding, and you're missing it. That's why the most powerful shift you can make isn't about fixing the outside world. It's about stopping the war within. And the moment you stop gripping so tightly, something magical starts to happen. You breathe deeper. You move differently. You stop surviving and start living. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels while calling it being responsible, this message is for you. Because your life doesn't start when everything is perfect. It starts when you realize you already have the power to choose peace right now. 1. The false responsibility of worry. Most people confuse worry with being responsible. They think that by stressing over every little detail, they're somehow preventing disasters. But the truth is, worry is just fear pretending to be useful. It whispers fake problems into your mind, making you solve situations that don't even exist yet. Like someone lying awake at night imagining arguments or accidents that never happen. He thought he was being smart by preparing for the worst, but ended up drained every morning. That's what worry does. It empties your tank before the day even starts. Responsibility means taking action when needed, not spinning in circles inside your head. Worry doesn't make you a protector. It makes you a prisoner. It's like locking yourself in a mental cage and calling it safety. A man may spend hours calculating what could go wrong with his job, his health, his relationships, and then proudly call it being prepared. But if nothing changes in the outer world and you're just more exhausted inside, what are you really doing? If your chest stays tight and your mind keeps racing, that's not power, it's paralysis. There's a big difference between solving a real problem and obsessively imagining one. True strength shows up when you can tell the difference, and that clarity opens the door to something deeper. Something most people never realize is available in the middle of all that chaos. 2. Worry is not control, it's exhaustion. Worry tricks you into thinking you're staying on top of things, but it's really a hamster wheel. Lots of motion, zero progress. You might feel like you're doing something useful, but all you're doing is exhausting your nervous system. You're not controlling the future. You're just replaying fears like a broken record. No real action, no presence, just mental chaos. Imagine a guy who checks his emails 30 times a day just to make sure nothing's going wrong. Does that actually prevent anything? No. It just keeps him in a loop of anxiety, glued to the illusion that he's in control. Worry becomes a full-time job with no paycheck. Just fatigue and headaches at the end of the day. And here's the kicker. When you live like that, your energy gets scattered. You're constantly reacting, never responding. Your focus is shot, your patience is gone, and even the small joys of life feel out of reach. That's not the life of a powerful man. That's survival on autopilot. Control doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from knowing what's yours to manage and what's not. It comes from trusting yourself to show up when needed, not burning out trying to prepare for every imaginary scenario. And this shift starts unlocking something you've probably forgotten was even there. 3. Presence is your real power. Every time something truly mattered, worry didn't help. You did. Not because you rehearsed 100 outcomes, but because you showed up. That's the real power. Presence. It's when you stop trying to live 5 steps ahead and deal with what's right in front of you. Simple, but not easy, especially when you're used to thinking being anxious is being prepared. Picture a man going through a tough conversation with his partner. If he's present, he listens, he feels, he responds. If he's worried, he's just defending a script in his head that never matches reality. That gap ruins connection. Presence, on the other hand, heals. It lets you move from ego to awareness, from defense to understanding. Worry pulls you out of your body. It hijacks your breath, tenses your shoulders, floods your chest. But when you pause, breathe, and return to the now, you start taking your power back. You start realizing that everything you need is found in this moment, not the one you're afraid of tomorrow. And once you anchor yourself here, life starts reacting to that shift. Opportunities come into focus, clarity gets louder, and what once felt overwhelming suddenly looks manageable. Not because the situation changed, but because you finally did something most people forget they can do. 4. Rewriting the script of your mind. The mind's favorite hobby, creating horror stories with you as the lead. One message left on read becomes a crisis. One delay at work and suddenly you're fired in your head. This mental habit of jumping to worst-case scenarios isn't just exhausting, it's a distortion. You're not reacting to reality, you're reacting to a movie your brain keeps playing on loop. It's like being stuck in a theater where the only genre is disaster. You sit through every scene, tense and bracing, even though the plot hasn't even started. But here's the twist, you're the one writing the script. The second you stop assuming the worst, the whole story begins to shift. Not outside, but within. Let's say someone doesn't text back. Worry says they're mad. Awareness says they might be busy. One turns into stress, the other keeps you centered. This is the power of editing your mental dialogue. Seeing the raw data without adding fear-filled meaning to it. And the more you do that, the quieter your inner storm gets. Eventually, you start noticing when your mind is making things bigger than they are. You pause, take a breath and ask, is this actually true? And just like that, you open space for something you haven't felt in a long time, a silence that isn't empty, but full of truth. 5. Real peace comes before the solution. Most people chase peace like it's a reward at the finish line. After the bills are paid, the job is stable, the relationship is perfect. But that version of peace is a myth. Real peace isn't what comes after the storm. It's what helps you walk through it. It's not the absence of problems, it's the presence of something stronger within you. A man sits at his kitchen table, heart pounding, waiting for news. The old hymn would spiral, what if it's bad? What if everything falls apart? But the new hymn remembers, peace is a choice. He breathes, he reminds himself, right now I'm okay. That's not delusion, that's divine power, choosing presence over panic. Peace isn't passive either. It doesn't mean you give up on solving problems. It means you stop letting them own your nervous system. You act from calm, not from chaos. You make smarter moves, say fewer things you regret, and somehow life starts to respond to that frequency. And once you taste that stillness, even for a moment, something inside you shifts. You realize peace isn't waiting on the other side of the problem. It's been waiting inside you all along. And from there, another powerful choice becomes not only possible, but necessary. 6. The power of letting go. Letting go isn't giving up. It's giving yourself permission to stop suffering. Most people think that if they stop worrying, everything will fall apart. But it's usually the opposite. When you loosen your grip, things actually begin to flow. Control comes from trust, not tension. Life doesn't need your micromanagement, it needs your alignment. Take the man who keeps checking his bank account every hour, panicking over every dip. He thinks he's staying on top of it, but he's just making fear his full-time job. Now imagine he steps back, breathes, sets a clear plan, and lets it work. Same situation, completely different energy. That's what letting go really looks like. There's a difference between action and obsession. One moves things forward, the other burns you out. Letting go doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means facing it with presence, making space for solutions instead of squeezing the life out of them. It's walking through the fire without pouring gasoline on your own feet. And once you stop forcing, something strange happens. You start seeing options you couldn't before. Ideas land, people show up, doors open. Not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you stopped blocking the flow that was always there, which naturally leads to a realization most people miss entirely. 7. You are not your thoughts. The mind can be loud, relentless, and convincing. But here's the truth. No one teaches you in school. You are not your thoughts. You're the one hearing them. That simple shift changes everything. It's like waking up from a dream you didn't know you were having. Suddenly, you're no longer drowning in worry. You're watching it float by. Picture this. You're walking into a meeting and your mind whispers, "You're not ready. You're going to mess this up." Old you would have believed it. But now, you pause, you smile, you remember. Thoughts aren't facts. They're mental weather, not your identity. You don't have to get soaked every time a cloud shows up. Learning to observe instead of obey is a superpower. It gives you space. You stop reacting to every mental itch, every scary prediction. You get to choose what gets your attention, your energy, your action. That's not spiritual fluff. That's real, grounded inner strength. And from that place, you start creating a new internal world, one where fear doesn't get the final word, and peace doesn't wait for the perfect moment to arrive. And right there, in that quiet awareness, something ancient and powerful begins to rise again. 8. You are God, not a victim of life. Most people live like life is happening to them, not through them. They forget who they are. They forget the divine power that breathes through their lungs, beats their heart, and gives them the ability to shift reality with their focus. Worry shrinks that truth. It makes you feel small, helpless, and stuck in survival mode. But you were never meant to be at the mercy of your circumstances. You were meant to command them from a place of calm authority, not frantic fear. When you start living from awareness, not reactivity, you stop begging life to get easier. You start becoming the version of you that knows how to handle anything. You don't need every answer before moving. You just need to remember that the part of you watching the fear, the noise, the doubt, that part is untouched. That part is divine. The more you trust that place, the less you try to force life, and the more it starts to align naturally with you. And that's the shift, from victim to creator, from worry to presence, from trying to survive life to actually living it. All because you stopped believing the voice that said you weren't already enough. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.